Hello, everyone. This is your friend Adil Rizvi, and I welcome you all in this webinar on a Tuesday night on 15th of April 2025. And I have a very, very special guest today. Before I introduce you to our guest tonight, just wanted to let you know we are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And more than happy for you to share your questions, share your feedback at any point of time in the chat. And we have a very, very special guest, the real estate guru for Glenwood and the surrounds, Mr. Maaz Goda. Maz, how are you going tonight?
I do. Thank you very much. Very good. I very much appreciate the invitation as well.
Beautiful, man. We have been talking about having this for a long time now. Finally, we
Yeah,
have done it.
yeah, 100%. I think it's good to create events like this. Catch up every now and then and just provide
Yep.
things for people.
Yep. And as Glenwood locals for both of us, I mean, we both live in Glenwood, and I just wanted to do this for everyone, but specifically for the Glenwood community, for the people who live in Glenwood and who have been part of this community for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Correct.
And we just wanted to share the insights from the guy who has been on the roads and on the streets of Glenwood, which is yourself, Maz. So thank you very much for taking time tonight.
And I thank you for the invitation.
All my pleasure, my friend. So we both sit on different opposite sides, of course, and you're, of course, the selling agent, me being the buyer's agent. But
Correct.
talking about Glenwood in itself, and even before we talk about Glenwood, I would like to understand what actually interested you, what created your interest towards real estate. How did you end up becoming a real estate agent to begin with?
Yeah, honestly, it's actually a very interesting question. Real estate was never in my mind, wasn't something that I was even, thinking about doing.
Yep.
Coincidental there. So in one of my uni classes, one of my classmates, he said his dad's friend was starting a real estate company and they had an assistant's position available. And I said, well, sure thing, I'm happy to give it a go. At the time, I think like I wasn't sure where I was going, where I was headed. So I just,
Yep.
took that leap and here we are. First I think I got into development, real estate development off the plan, focusing on the apartments. We did a bit of leasing as well before
Wow.
moving into residential now. So yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting. So you have gone through the development phase of it. And why Glenwood? How did you end up being in Glenwood and being the Glenwood expert?
Yeah, so Glenwood, very funny enough, because obviously I am a local here, but it's just I've looked at all the other suburbs around Sydney, and I just felt with Glenwood, it's just that one unique suburb where it connects a lot of people together. In terms of obviously we've got the community side, but also like when you look at the location on the map, it's actually very quite convenient, easy to get into and out of. If you want to go to the city, for example, it's a stroll away within with about 40 minutes or so. We've got lots of transport options including direct buses. You've got the metro that just opened as well. And then you look at the community side, there's just so much happening. The council on the other hand as well, they're always like upgrading the local parks, the reserves on and the roads as well.
Yep.
And it's like unique in its own way as well too. Everyone's friendly, everyone's calm, so I think yeah, it's a good mixture suburb.
It is. It is. And I want to talk about which we have talked about before offline as well. But for our community, I know we both are locals in Glenwood and we have been living here for years as well. Now, Gurdwara temple, that is kind of identity for Glenwood and it is known by the temple itself. Does it necessarily mean that there's a lot of community who lives in Glenwood because of that temple? Is that actually true?
Honestly, that is one of the best questions you've asked. It's a very good question. Because honestly, I've thought the same thing as well when we moved into this area, and
Yep.
also like seeing the temple being there, thinking that all right, it's going to be based on one certain community.
Yep.
Actually, no. when we do
Wow.
our open homes as an example, we actually get a quite majority of mixture of different, communities coming in, so I think maybe there is a small proportion that are, part of the Gurdwara temple, that do live there for that reason. But actually with that temple, because it's the biggest one in Australia, there's going to
Yep.
be a lot more crowd there. But like when you look at Glenwood on itself, yeah, I would say it's completely mixed. I wouldn't say it's just those people for that temple only, and that's what makes Glenwood very multicultural as well.
It does. It does. And with Glenwood, I mean, if you want to break it down further about the locals, is it more popular in families or in young couples or in any other kind of age group? Is it particularly popular in a particular age group, or is it like everyone wants to live over here?
Yeah, very good. Another good question. So Glenwood actually started, I think, around the 1990s. So if you look at then, right now, there's a bit of a shift change. So we've got a lot of the original owners that moved in about 20 to 30 years ago. They're all at the moment now. What's happening is they're all selling or moving out of Glenwood, moving to maybe going down to the coast or down to an apartment in the surrounding suburbs. And what we've noticed now, with in terms of the community, we've got a lot of families and young couples that are starting, to take over as well. So I think it's creating that cycle as well. So yeah,
Wow, that is a very interesting feedback that you have shared about the local community. So essentially, people who maybe built their own homes back in the late 90s and early 2000s, or moved into brand new homes, because that was pretty much the time when Glenwood was developed. It was late 90s, early 2000s. So those people are kind of moving out now. They are more becoming retirees, and they're moving out of Glenwood. So is that like an opportunity for buyers? Because I always think from the buyer's perspective. Do you think that's like an opportunity for the buyers? What would you tell about sellers in that regard? So how would you rate that for buyers and sellers?
correct. So I think it's actually an opportunity for both sides because the sellers, as an example, them being original owners, or even if you bought the property, within 5 years ago, for example, you would have
Yep.
made at least, half a million to a million, since the time you've purchased it.
Yep.
Being an original owner, you've probably purchased it under 500,000. Now
Yep.
Glenwood's median, it's around the 1.6 mark at the moment as well for a 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 2-car garage home. So I
Yep.
think like it is an opportunity for the sellers, but also for the buyers that are up and coming as well. Remember, Glenwood, you've got one of the best schools here. Glenwood High School actually did well last year in terms of the HSC ranking, and a
Yep.
lot of the students actually did quite well. And then we've got both Caddis Creek Public School and Parkley Public School. Both are performing quite well as well. So I think for young families, these are the main critical things. School, transport, does help, and that's why I think the last 2 years as well, we've seen it, significantly actually increase in price too. So I think if
Yep.
you're a young couple or young family trying to get into the area, I would definitely be really considering Glenwood because price wise, we know it's not going to slow down compared to the surrounding suburbs.
It does. Now you're right. And what makes Glenwood like stand out when, because it's right next to the Hillshire Council. So, and it's the first pretty much suburb on the other side of Old Windsor Road in the Blacktown Council, right? So what makes
Correct.
it stand out when there's always some buzz and some noise about the Hillshire, which is pretty much a stone's throw away from Glenwood. So
Correct.
uh, is it better off that area? Is it worse off, or is
Yeah.
there any comparison, or they're not two things to be compared off against? So how would you relate it with the Hillshire Council and those suburbs?
Yeah, honestly, I've seen that quite a lot on like from my end. I think it's a stigma that's going around that because Glenwood's a Blacktown City Council, it's meant to be a lower suburb. There's times where prices in Glenwood are getting more than Balcombe Hills. When you compare the same property toe to toe in terms of location and convenience,
Yep.
Glenwood would actually get more price. But on the other hand, even at our open homes as an example, we've noticed actually people coming, from those Hills District suburb coming back to Glenwood because it's easy to get into and out of. Think about it. You jump off the what's it called? Yeah, M7 and the M2. The first stop in order to enter the Hills District is Glenwood. right?
Yep.
From Glenwood, then you're stuck on Windsor Road. Just to try and enter, whether you live as far as Box Hill or Kellyville, you know. So yeah,
It is. Now you're right. And the reason I asked that question was because Hills Council and some of the suburbs are known for its schools and for rankings and all that. And you previously just mentioned about the Glenwood High School, which has done really well over the years and even in the last year in the
correct.
HSC results. So I think that's where Glenwood stands out very well because I think from price point perspective, it is still a lot more affordable than some of the very higher pricier suburbs. But I find personally Glenwood to be much more quieter as compared to
Exactly.
some of those other suburbs like Norwest and some parts of even Bella Vista. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, nothing against those areas; they're really good areas as well. But I think Glenwood is a bit more quieter and a bit
of course.
more peaceful. And
Yeah,
I live like on the edge of M7 myself, but still being very close to the motorway, I don't feel that noise. I don't hear
peaceful.
that traffic in the morning or late at night because
Mhm.
it's really peaceful. So yeah, I would actually
Yeah.
testify to what you just said over here.
Yeah,
That's
and
very
another
true.
good thing, yeah, as well, like with what you're mentioning about Glenwood being peaceful, quiet, not as busy as those suburbs. There's only about 4,700 homes, just under 5,000.
Yep.
So it's not as big. We don't have
Yep.
traffic lights in Glenwood as well, so it shows you that it's that one unique, suburb where, like, it's for the locals only, designed for the locals.
Yep.
Whereas you look at Borkham Hills or Norwest, right? You've obviously got the business park and the major industrial industry and what's it called infrastructures that are going on. So it does make it a little bit more heavier. Um,
Yep.
Obviously, like if you're looking to buy a home, you want something that's quiet, and more pleasant, I would say.
Yep. Now, exactly. You're very right with the business park, and I can, again, it's just like 2 minutes drive from where I live, and I can be in the business park straight away. If I have to be at the office or to meet someone, that's very true. But in Glenwood, you don't have such activity of businesses, which is actually good because it's very peaceful and very residential.
Correct. Yeah.
So, what would be the best kept secrets for Glenwood? I mean, every suburb has some secrets that only the locals would know. And as the local expert of Glenwood, what are the best kept secrets that you mentioned one about the streetlights? That was really interesting that you mentioned about. Anything else that you would like to add to that list?
I think the main thing is that it's obviously a small suburb with only under 5,000 homes compared to the surrounding suburbs where we're talking they're having up to, 10,000 plus homes in its suburb. And another thing with Glenwood as well, I think the best kept secret is we've got lots and lots of parks, and the council, they're actually upgrading it quite a lot. So, like, just in the last 12 months, as an example, Glenwood itself, we received, a volleyball court, a skate park as well, and then also on Alwyn Reserve, you've got like an outdoor gym, that gets utilized quite well, and then even I've noticed on the weekend as well, Glenwood Park Drive and Murrens Lane, every Saturday you see people, doing their running or walking, as a loop, around the
Yep.
suburb too. So
Exactly. Now that's very true. I've witnessed that on the weekends,
mm.
and every suburb has some really desirable streets, some best streets. So, what are those best streets that you would like to share with our audience tonight?
Okay, I don't want to, again, create a stigma that one side's better than the other. But I think, look, I wouldn't say there's any one street that's better than the other. I think they're all as equally as good. I think the main ones would be the ones where they've got, the footpath, sorry, the, shared path along the reserves, along the parks. I think that would be the best one, especially the one, the Glenwood, I forgot the name, but where Glenwood Lake is, I think that would be anything around that would be one of the best ones.
No, exactly. And
Glenwood
the idea
Lake,
is not to
one.
just like create any stigma, as you said, but of course, it's more about owner occupiers where they want to be more in certain areas. What would be your advice for people who are looking to get into the market in Glenwood? Should they
Mm.
wait for another interest rate drop that is possibly going to happen with all the Trump tariffs happening around the world and all the RBA stuff happening? Do you think they should wait? They should jump into now? Any advice on for the property buyers for Glenwood?
Yeah, so I think, look, if you're a buyer looking to purchase a property in Glenwood, Glenwood is not that big of a suburb. Like right now, like when properties do come on the market, it's rarely it reaches 2 or 3 pages on realset.com and domain. When you look online, it's usually first page. There's maybe about 10 homes, possibly 15 to 20, that are on the market. Other suburbs that have got, like Borkham Hills as an example, you've got 200 homes that are available on the market. Those suburbs, you've got a lot more options, whereas with Glenwood, because it's a unique suburb, you're limited in terms of what's out there. Now, the question for me, for you as a buyer, when you are looking to buy in Glenwood, what have you once you've selected your criteria in terms of the home you want, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, which aspect you would like, whether you want to be within walking distance, to the local school or to the, express buses to the city, or do you want to be next to the metro side? Once you've done all that, I think the moment you find a house that does tick all those boxes, don't
Yep.
wait for interest rates to drop. Don't wait for the tariffs or whoever else that's making economic changes on the global scale, tell
Yep.
you that they're gonna, lower the economy, lower the price. Better you take it now. Otherwise, I think we've seen at Glenwood right now. I wouldn't say any of the properties prices, have gone down in value. You know, and then even on my end as well, I like to do auctions as well. We've had properties where they've passed in, and guess what? They still end up getting sold for more, for a higher price. So to me, it's just you as the buyer. It means that you just have to pay another 100 grand, 200, God knows how much. But the sooner you buy it, the better it is.
That's how the market is in real estate in Australia. As long as you know what to buy, where to buy, at what price, I think it's usually better to buy sooner rather than later, isn't it?
Exactly right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
of course, because you're a buyer's agent, you would know, about this a lot more maybe than I do as well. But like, when it comes to buyers, as an example, I'm sure you tell them on certain if it's a hot suburb, it's you need to act now and not act later.
Exactly, and that's true with most of the suburbs, and Glenwood is no exception. With all the
Exactly.
tranquility and the peace, the parks, the community in Glenwood, I think if you can afford to get something, get in early, get in fast. And as you mentioned as well, Maz, there are not many homes to choose from, so you won't get 50 listings at one point in Glenwood or 100 listings at one point. So whatever you have, if you can afford it, if you know your numbers, if you can go hard for it, just go for it, right? Because
Right.
ultimately you do make money, and more than making money, it's about where you want to have your family and where you want to raise your
Yeah.
kids, and the sports and all the facilities around it. So I think that's where Glenwood is pretty much second to none. Like my own kids enjoy sports over here, and we are enjoying our, since we've been living here, we don't want to move anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I totally resonate with what you're saying. And just wanted to acknowledge Margaret. Thanks very much, Margaret, for joining and saying, being present here. Good evening to you as well. So, any before we round it up, Maz, I want to thank you for joining us tonight again. Is
Of
there any
course.
other tip that you have for people who are considering Glenwood at this point, or any other tip for our audience tonight?
I think one of the main tips is, don't miss out. Make a decision very fast as soon as you can. And I think the best thing I can tell anyone that's looking to buy in Glenwood is just come on the weekend. Just come on the weekend, park your car, at one of the, car parks that, or at Glenwood Village as an example. Go for
Yep.
a walk around, go for a stroll. The map isn't too big of Glenwood. Just drive around the streets and you'll see, how beautiful, how whisper quiet it is as well, and you get to even see the people, you know. Me, every time I'm out, there's always someone smiling, there's always someone waving, it's just, it creates that positive, and welcoming atmosphere, you know,
It does. It does. Now,
as well.
beautiful. That's a very honest advice. I really like that. And how can people reach out to you if they want to learn more about Glenwood, or if they want to see what their home is currently worth, if they're looking for some appraisal, how they can reach out to you, Maz?
Of course, simple way, you can Google me. Otherwise, I've got my mobile number. You can ring me anytime, 0415 783 924. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the social sites. I should be on it too. So,
Yep.
ring me, message me, WhatsApp as well, WeChat for my Chinese guys too. I'm here.
That's good. No, that's good. And if you still can't find Maz for some reason, just reach out to me and I will connect you with him.
There you go. Well, that sounds good too.
Beautiful. Now, thank you so very much, Maz, for being with us today. and it was lovely having you. Probably we can have one more session sometime later, but
I
it was
would
lovely
love
to
that.
have you tonight. And thank you everyone for joining in. If you have any feedback, any questions for Maz or for Glenwood or for the surrounding suburbs around Glenwood, please feel free to post them on in the comments on whichever platform you are watching this video, whether you are watching live or whether you are watching the recording later on. Please share your feedback and your questions. I'm sure Maz would like to answer them whenever you share them with us. So thank you very much, Maz. Thank you very much for the audience for joining. And until next time, take care and have a very good night.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Adil.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you all.